Welcome to another episode of Light Conversations with Bob. I hope everyone is doing well and staying healthy. NASCAR is going racing next week in actual race cars as the NASCAR Cup Series resumes May 17 at Darlington Raceway on Fox. The drivers will be back racing, vying for wins that will put them in the playoffs. One of the drivers already with a win this year is Alex Bowman, and he joins us today. He won at Auto Club Speedway, so he knows he's going to be in the playoffs, and he currently sits fourth in the Cup standings. He is certainly ready to get back to racing, so let's get right to it. And here's my interview with Alex Bowman. Light Conversations with Bob welcomes Alex Bowman, driver of the Hendrick Motorsports number 888 Chevrolet. Alex, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You know, we call these Light Conversations with Bob because people often ask me if tracks have lights. And a few weeks ago during the Bristol iRacing event, you're like, hey, Bob, does the virtual Bristol have lights? So I'm curious, were you being funny or what were you trying to find out there?
I was definitely being a little bit sarcastic there. I feel like sarcasm has been the only way to cover up my lack of iRacing talent. So I just try to be sarcastic and funny and tweet dumb things during those races to make up for my lack of running well, aside from at the super speedways.
I often wonder why people enjoy asking me if a track has lights so much. Maybe you can enlighten me.
For me, it's because I see so many people, like so many fans doing it to you all the time. I feel like you get a lot of not dumb questions, but just like random questions all the time. And the one that has really stuck is, does that track have lights? So it's always good to ask you if this track has lights.
Oh, I swear I never get tired of those questions. Now, talking about during this quarantine time, one of the things that you've been working on is building a drifting car. So I'm curious, what goes into building a drifting car?
Yeah, so there's quite a few different ways you can do it. It's like anything. You can build a full-on race car, or you can build a normal car with some small parts that make it drift better. So for me, I kind of went 75% of the way to being a full-blown race car. So it'll have a full cage and all that, but it'll still maintain like a little bit of a street car interior and have air conditioning and heat and stuff like that. But it is going to be pretty race car specific in the suspension stuff and the drivetrain. But I haven't really got to work on it much because it's been at the chassis shop for 3 weeks now, 2.5 weeks. Because I'm a terrible fabricator, so if I built the roll cage, it would fall apart. So it's been there. I had the car for a day and a half, and then it went to the chassis shop. So maybe I'll see it again someday, but it's gonna be a fun project when I get it back for sure.
So is the suspension more like a dirt car suspension than a cup car suspension?
Somewhat. It's pretty individualized to drifting and unique to drifting. The front of the cars get super wide, and you have to clearance everything to get a bunch of steering angle because obviously those cars are sideways all the time. So the front tires stick way out of the fenders and the cars look super goofy. And then the rear suspension stuff is a lot more basic to street car stuff. So the cool thing about drifting is every car is so different. There's a lot of different ingenuity and stuff that goes on to gain steering angle. And all the pro cars make a ton of horsepower, which I think is really neat. You look at pro drift cars, they make 1,000+ horsepower for the most part. So I'm a gearhead. So when I hear anything with over 1,000 horsepower, I'm all about it.
So how much horsepower will yours have?
Not 1,000. I reached the bottom of my pocket and I found the bottom. I don't want to go past that. So my car will probably make 500, 550. I don't want to be that guy that's learning how to drift in a full-on pro drift car. Like I want to like gradually learn like you're supposed to. I'm probably going to be over-carred and under-talented to begin with anyway. So I'll definitely enjoy it though.
How about paint scheme? Have you figured that out yet?
We've actually just started working on that. I can't decide if I want to do something like drift cars. Obviously, drifting kind of originated in Japan, and there's some really cool like paint schemes over there. And a lot of them, they're normal on one side and then they're just flipped on the other side. So everything's backwards on the other side. And I think that's kind of really neat. So hopefully we get some awesome partners like Valvoline on board, and we could probably make a pretty cool paint scheme with the Valvoline colors.
Now, as a gearhead, as you said, is is there a good series to watch if people still have time to binge watch anything during these times?
Like a Netflix show, or what do you?
Yeah, like a Netflix show or an Amazon show or some show that you like to watch that people might have access to.
From the gearhead side of things, I don't know. There's that show Hyperdrive on Netflix was pretty cool. Rutledge was in that one. That was a cool show for sure. I don't know though. I was consumed by Tiger King like everybody else, and then watched what's the Outer Banks show. I don't know. I watched all the normal quarantine shows, I feel like. So
Yeah, I haven't watched Tiger King yet. So if you have, do you have like what do I need to know before I watch it, or should I
um,
not know anything?
you shouldn't know anything because I went into Tiger King. I kept scrolling past it, and everybody's talking about Tiger King, and I'm like, I'm not watching some Discovery Channel like Tiger King about wildlife thing like that. That's interesting, but it can't be as good as what everybody's saying. And you learn real quick that it is not about tigers whatsoever. It is about Joe Exotic versus Carol Baskin, and then the other dude that has like 6 wives. It is the most entertaining Netflix thing I've ever watched. And Carol Baskin killed her husband.
Okay, well, now so you're talking about something that I don't know anything about, and another thing that I've seen on your social that I really don't know anything about is an Uncrustable.
You don't
So
know anything about an Uncrustable?
yeah, like am I missing out on something by not having ever eaten one?
I mean, I feel like, yeah, your life is not complete since you haven't eaten an Uncrustable. You're married, but you haven't eaten an Uncrustable, so you're falling short of life goals here. So you need to get to the store and get a box. It's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that you don't have to make. It's pre-made.
All right, do you feed them to your dog Finn? Can Finn eat them?
No, Finn's on a special diet because he's high maintenance, but I feed them to myself quite often.
Okay, now talking about Finn, I'm curious, does Finn ever ignore you even though
Oh
Finn
yeah.
kind of knows what you want Finn to do?
Yeah, for sure. He big times me, especially now that he's won an iRacing race. He big times me all the time. So definitely gotten a little big headed. He likes my friends more than he likes me anyway. So he'll ignore me if other people are around for sure. But yeah, he's got a huge head. I walked into my bedroom the other day and he was laying in my spot, and I went to get in bed and he wouldn't move. So I think he thinks he's king of the castle at this point.
Well, so I guess the question is there ever vice versa? Do you ever ignore what Finn wants?
Oh, yes. When he wakes up at 6:45 and starts punching me in the face and wants food, I ignore him for sure. For like 10 minutes, I ignore him to the best of my abilities and try to keep sleeping, and then he typically wins.
Wow. But just 10 minutes. That's all you can take.
Well, I mean, when there's an 85-pound dog punching you in the face with his nails out, it gets a little violent. He doesn't he thinks he's small, so he's pretty big. I mean, he's not huge, but he's pretty big. And I all the time I get cut up by him from just sitting on me or scratching me or punching me. He likes to step on my head. He tries to like sleep on the pillow above my head. Um, it's it's kind of a mess because Rosco gets away with it because Rosco's like 40 pounds and he's pretty small. And Finn just thinks he can do all the same stuff, but he's double the size, and it doesn't work out so well.
All right. Well, let's go to racing for a little bit. You've won a race this year, so now that the racing is about to get back in about little over a week, is there no pressure for you considering you've won a race and know you're in the playoffs?
I think there's still always pressure for me just because I want to run well. You know me, I when things aren't going well, I'm not happy, regardless of if we're locked into the playoffs or won the previous week or whatever the situation is. If things aren't going well or how I expect them to, especially on my side, like when we're just struggling for speed, that's the worst for me when it's a place that I can't seem to find what I need or a track that I struggle at. That's the most frustrating thing for me. So definitely a lot of pressure to keep trying to win races, contend for wins, and just run well. You're going to have things that happen that you can't control, but the things that I can control when they're not going well, I'm super frustrated.
Well, that kind of brings me to my next question is, could you be even more frustrated? Because I'm thinking if I'm Hendrick Motorsports and there's no practice for any of these races, I may want to try a part or a piece. And so, hey, I'm going to put in the guy who's already won a race.
I'm all for that because sometimes we try that part or piece and it works really well. So I'm all for that. I think learning what we can, obviously before the playoffs start, is important. That's a long time from now, though. And at the same time, the development side of things is really, hopefully it's stalled out a little bit for all the teams. We started the season really strong, and hopefully we haven't really given the other teams an opportunity to catch up here with the way the world has been. So hopefully we continue that. I think these slick intermediate racetracks like Darlington and Charlotte that we're going to go to here a couple times, they're kind of our bread and butter. So I'll take whatever HMS will give me. I'm sure it'll be good when we unload.
And so you'll take what HMS will give you. Do you want to know what that new part or piece is that's in your car, or would you rather just not know and give the feedback on what the car is doing?
I think that really depends. I think there are times that, obviously I'm a car guy. I have a super mechanical background. I like cool stuff. So, if it's a cool little part or piece, I think that's neat. But if it's a cool little part or piece that looks sketchy or looks like it could fail or something like that, you never want to know about those. So, if it looks cool and I'm not going to worry about it breaking, I'm all for knowing what it is. If it's something that I'm going to worry about breaking, I don't want to know. Whatever part or piece or something that could fall off, or I don't know. I don't want to know about any of that stuff.
Has Hendrick ever allowed you to help design a part or a piece, or taken any of your suggestions on how to design a part or a piece?
No, no, they have people way smarter than me for that. I think if I designed anything that went on our cars, it would probably break and fall off. So they have people much smarter than me for that, and I'm very thankful for that.
And look, I know you're working on that drifting car. You have your midgets. Have you taken them out for any? Have you done any kind of testing in those just outside your home?
I did some donuts in the shop parking lot the other day in the drift car when it got here. So it's my property, right? So send
That's
it.
right.
Had a good time. We figured out that the parking lot and driveway is big enough to do some figure eights in. So that was fun. The midgets have been sitting there pretty much ready to go for Tulsa already. So that's nice. Really just been hanging out trying to get the shop dialed in. It's a long process of running airlines and hooking up the air compressor, setting up lifts, setting up cabinets, organizing, cleaning. I have this super nice epoxy floor that the first day we moved in, I was using the forklift and picking something up, and I dropped it and it scratched the heck out of my nice new floor. So, it's a rough life, but somebody's got to live it.
Well, I mean, does that scratch bother you? I mean, do you see it, and you're like, gosh, that has to get fixed right away, or can you live with it?
I mean, my OCD, it bothers me a lot. So every time I walk past it, or on Fridays, I have like a little push Zamboni that I clean the floor with on Fridays. And every time I go over that spot, I see it. I'm like, ah, dang it, it looks so bad. So it's a little difficult to fix. So I just got to live with it. But maybe I'll find something to put on top of it, and I'll just put something there so you don't see it, because I've been here 3.5 weeks, I think, and it's driving me insane already.
I'm curious now at home. I mean, do you have anything like that where you've had to put a rug over or a mat over just because something bothers you?
Not really at the house. I'd say the thing that bothers me the most about my house is my dog. Rosco can drink water normally. Finn cannot. He makes the biggest mess ever when he drinks water. Um, and it's not like a contained mess. It's like 20 square feet around his water bowl is soaked at all times. I can't keep it dry, and it's hardwood. I tried different height water bowls, different types of water bowls, keeping the water level really low, putting a carpet there, but it just destroys the floor. So that's the OCD thing that kills me is it's always wet.
Well, don't slip and fall, because then you're going to be in. That's going to be uh, that would not be good for
That
sure.
would be bad. That would be bad. I typically trip over something and fall on a daily basis. I'm pretty clumsy, but yeah, that'd be bad.
All right. Well, hey, Alex, I appreciate you joining me. And I know sometimes you're somewhat blunt, and you sometimes say things that maybe some people on your PR team or social team would say, man, that really should have been an inside thought. So I am curious, do you think you've said anything in this interview that's going to get you in trouble with your PR or social people?
Probably with my luck for sure. What do you think it is?
I'm not sure. Maybe maybe I think doing donuts on your own property be okay, but
Yeah.
somebody might have a problem with it. I mean, do you just expect that they're like, how many times do you expect that you're going to get in trouble for doing something they don't like?
Daily, pretty much daily. Um, I like to give them crap because they sometimes they're hard on me, but they just want things to go well, right? So they're just doing their job. Kelsey's been awesome to work with. Um, she does a really good job, and sometimes I make her life a little difficult with the stuff that comes out of my mouth. But it's that's just kind of how I am. I can't help it sometimes. As far as the donuts on my property go, that was on my Instagram story. Everybody knew about it. So I think I'm already in the clear on that one, but I'm sure there will be something else to pick on.
All right. Well, we'll stop this before we get you into any more trouble. Thanks, Alex, for joining me on Light Conversations with Bob. It's been entertaining.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. I appreciate you having me.
And thanks to Alex Bowman for joining us. I hope you all have enjoyed these conversations, and hopefully we'll get to do more throughout the season. Don't forget, special time for iRacing this weekend, 3 p.m. Eastern, Saturday on Fox, FS1 and the Fox Sports app, with a race at North Wilkesboro. And then racing in actual race cars resumes Sunday, May 17th with Darlington on Fox. No fans are allowed to go to those races, so please stay at home and enjoy the races on TV. Thanks to all the people who are keeping us healthy during this time, and please follow your local guidelines.
For more great NASCAR on Fox content, subscribe to our channel. It's somewhere right around here.